Our next presenter creates computer-based generated art using open source program software. He produces both interactive and surprisingly soft organic forms generated only by Lash non-visual computer code. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Wennerdahl.
Good evening. I got to take you back 3 years ago, back to January 2009. I signed up for a group show in the Boneyard Art Festival. I have no work produced, I don't know what I'm going to do, and I'm not even an artist. But despite having a master's degree in art education, I saw myself really as a teacher and not an artist. I entered the program with a degree in elementary education and some years of preschool teaching experience. I was head of the preschool kindergarten art room in Saturday school, not too far down the hallway in this very building. So I was a teacher. I was not, in my mind, an artist. But regardless, in 2009, I went to the Boneyard meet and greet. I met David Kopaz randomly, and he was looking for artists to be part of a group show. And so I'm happy to say I was successful, I think, in 2009, and also presented with them again in 2010, showing computer-produced generative images and animations. My inspiration to be in Boneyard and the key to survival doing it was Damon Baker, who was a teacher here and taught Arts 444. I met Damon by chance at my bus stop on campus, and he wove a story about generative art and wild stories about images created randomly by software, and I was hooked. So I took small, very developmental steps in producing that work. My rule was I did not mouse anything. Everything was made by code. So line, shape, color, all generated by code and random variables. I worked my way up to shapes, and after squiggles, shapes, and still images, and started to animate them in many ways, having them grow, shrink, and fluctuate based on random variables, or sometimes under the influence of someone armed with a Wii remote to move the image. My influences are the world around me, the creation and destruction of objects, order and chaos, the deliberate and the random. Interested in random overlapping parts that create a new whole, the intersection of lines, shapes, and colors. During the course, the generation of organic forms was a key theme, and I was fascinated how cold, harsh code could literally spin out organic images. I explored the fragile mathematics of why 0.03 and 0.05 didn't work, but somehow the magic of 0.04 did. With the encouragement of Damon, I took the step of leaving my black and white phase and moved into color, and these animations would grow and revolve, shrink, and create new colors as they did so around a revolving center. Later in the semester, I worked on creating creatures, or at least parts of creatures, and I designed these forms and placed them on the computer screen. I built into them the potential for spontaneous and random movements, as well as sometimes reactive actions. And the last and perhaps most powerful theme was the idea of recursion and repetition using mathematical functions. The ability for a small amount of code to be repeated over and over and over to create still images, but also animations, these tunnels of seemingly infinite depth. Now, looking back, I think the very thing that in my mind held me back from being an artist was ironically the very thing that helped me become one. And I discovered the art elements that I taught in preschool and in teaching art were indeed the very things that were my passions: lines, shapes, and colors. So inspirations like mouse paint and even color kittens. Academically, books I read in undergraduate like Flatland about the tale of A Square who lived on a 2D plane. And then books that I kept around on my shelf, the Wucius Wong's 2D design and interaction of color by Joseph Albers, which is actually in the hallway room next door. So today, whether I'm using processing or context-free or ASC logo software, I'm intentionally and thoughtfully creating images which create a unique and semi-random image each time I render them. Some images aren't good, and I trash them. Other times, images are good, and I keep them. This year, I've returned to the theme of creating creatures, delighting in form and color combinations that, being generated, I wouldn't have made or put together intentionally. Code has helped me push beyond my conservative aesthetic comfort zone and showed me new possibilities. Within the last few months, I've moved into a painterly style, a painterly quality, and ironically, the same squiggle that was produced by a piece of software, that same software also produced this, a very rich image that's deeper than the ones I produced earlier. To help you understand my generative work process and philosophy, I can direct you to a wall in downtown Urbana. The wall was painted with 3 coats of blue, tan, and brown, and vines have been growing and dying for many, many years. Each vine twists up the wall, little roots extend outward, and chips of paint are removed here and there, revealing older colors, and the vines fall away. And when I first saw the wall, I thought, hey, this is a deliberate painting. I gotta go check this out. But it's actually a generative process occurring naturally in the world. But I think a parallel to what I do on the computer. So, for my Boneyard 2010 show, because I thought that my work was too much computer stuff, this year I'm making cubes affixed with squares cut out from prints of my generative works. And so my plan is to have 200 cubes for the Boneyard show this April. They range in size from about 4 inches to about maybe ½ an inch. So in conclusion, I'm happy to say that I am having conversations about teaching generative art for a local gallery in town. So thank you to David Kopaz and Damon Baker, my teacher, for allowing me to say, perhaps for the first time and with confidence, I am both a teacher and an artist.